Hi, this is Mille Petrozza from Kreator, and I'm blowing up with the mighty Z on Capital Chaos TV.
All right, this is Todd Owens with Capital Chaos TV, and we're here with Mille Petrozza from the legendary Kreator. How you doing, Mille?
I'm very good today. How are you?
I'm doing well.
All right.
So you've been on this tour with a couple other bands, Overkill and Warbringer, for about a month now. How's the tour going?
Very nice, very nice. We all get along, and we all have, especially us and Overkill, we have such a huge history in common. I mean, they've been around just as long as we have, and we've toured with Warbringer before, so we're good friends with them guys, and we're all a happy family on this one.
How much input do you have into the bands that you tour with?
I was planning on. We've never toured with Overkill, so there was always talks about it, and we always wanted to do a tour with Overkill because we really respect them, and we thought that it would be a perfect match. You have a band like Overkill and Kreator play together, you know, and
you share a label now, right?
we do share a label also, so everything got together in the end, and I'm happy that it finally came true, and we're on tour with them, and the audience really likes it. It's a nice, like I said, it's a nice match. The people really enjoy the show. They enjoy all the bands equally, and no drama, no egos, no nothing. It's nice.
So you also, it's not super new, but I guess it's been out about 2 months, a new DVD that you guys put out, Dying Alive, is that correct?
Dying Alive, yes. It's a new DVD that we put out a couple months ago, yes. What can I say about it? It's a hometown show, filmed with 24 cameras, mixed by Jens Bogren. Very, very intense. Kind of gives you an impression of what a Kreator live show is all about. Of course, it's not the same. It's always the best thing is to actually go to a Kreator concert, but you get an impression, you know. So it's a nice little DVD release. Our first live release since 2003, I think. So it was about time.
And I don't know if there's different editions of it, but I know there's one edition, or if that's the main one, that's got a big booklet with it. Is that correct? Or
all of them have a big booklet,
okay.
But there's one they call it earbook, and it has it's like a book almost, you know, vinyl size, vinyl format, and it's nice, very nice. Pictures of everything. Like, we had a photographer on the tour with us, and that one is really nice, and then there is a couple of other editions like vinyl and everything. tons of it.
Let's go back throughout in the history, you guys. You've had some lineup changes in the past, but it seems like this lineup, I mean, you guys have been together about 12 or 13 years, I think. Is that correct? So obviously it's working. Since something changed, or you just get the right group of guys together, that it's, 12 years straight that you guys have. How many? You did 4 albums, 5 albums?
We did 4 together since 2001, and I think it's just a chemistry that works. We are very, very we get along, most of the times, and we kind of know how to deal with each other. It's being in a band is not always easy. Sometimes it's a little stressful psychologically, because you got to be on this for many months, and sometimes it's not that easy. But with this lineup, we kind of found a way so that we're all happy.
I wanted to just go back to the early days a little bit, and so in, I guess, around 82 was the first, I don't know, it was your first band, Tyrant, and that was, I believe with Jürgen was in, correct?
Yeah,
and I don't know if that
yeah.
was, because you were like 16 then, was that like a high school band, or
Not even. We were like really young. That's not really the beginning. And like a lot of people say that is the beginning of Kreator. That's like the I don't know. That's like the that wasn't really Kreator. I mean, that we started the band in '82. That was when Ventor got his drum kit, you know. But that we were in the band. We all couldn't play, and we needed another 3 years to become a decent enough band to do Endless Pain. Even though we haven't played much for that album, we've played like 2 concerts before we went into the studio and recorded that album. And so the birth of Kreator is 1985.
Okay.
And that's how I see it. Tormentor was a band that was decent, but very different. I mean, when you listen to Tormentor, you can hear it's more like a very chaotic, almost black metal-ish band.
So it's not really a direct line between those three. There's 3 different musical entities, kind of.
I would say so, because Tyrant was kids learning how to play their instruments. We were doing cover versions of the whole British Steel album. We were doing Twisted Sister songs. We were doing songs by, you know, even Steppenwolf and stuff like that. Anything that had like 3 chords. And it wasn't really a band. It wasn't a band. We have, like I said, we have never played under this name. We started playing when we became Tormentor in a way, you know, like. Oh yeah, we had one show, but I don't really count that, you know. It was more like a learning experience, like getting like. It's not like you gotta imagine. It's not like nowadays when you start a band, you can go on YouTube and you can, you know, learn how to play certain songs. We had to figure it out ourselves, and we went into the rehearsal room like 3 times a week and just played, you know, being kids.
And from, I guess, maybe some interviews I've seen that you mentioned, Venom kind of is something that it's really kind of inspired you to turn it up a little bit.
We were this Tyrant band, which wasn't always Tyrant. We changed the name every week, and we never played, so there was no use for a name anyway. And I remember when I got to pick up the Venom Will I Come to Hell album, we definitely changed our style drastically. We had this rehearsal where I suggested, why don't we play everything faster like Venom, you know? So we had these heavy metal songs, and we played them faster. And I wrote satanic lyrics for the heavy metal lyrics. Before it was like about, I don't know what is it. I mean, before there were typically cliche heavy metal lyrics, and then when Venom came into the picture, it's all started to become satanic. And very naive, very childish, but that was the roots of Kreator.
And then when like Slayer and Metallica started coming out, were there?
Yeah, that was also a big influence, of course. I mean, the first band that was like that was Venom. Then Metallica came to the picture, and they were like, to us, they were like the best band, you know. It's way too good for us. But Venom, we could do covers, right, because they were easier, simpler songs. And to us, when Slayer came out, they were like a mix between Venom and Slayer, Venom and Metallica.
Exactly, that's a good.
Venom and Metallica, and of course we liked them. Exodus came out, and all these tape trading. The tape trading scene was really big at the time, and so we heard all these bands. There was also a band called Hawaii. The guy from one of the guys that played in Megadeth had this band for a while, and that was a very influential album to me, but it got forgotten about, you know. Not many people know about it. It's called One Nation Underground, and that was also one of the first speed metal albums that I know of. And Savage Grace, another band that nobody knows anymore.
I guess over like the last 10 years there's been sort of a thrash revival with bands like, well, I mean, you guys and Overkill and Death Angel and Testament, that are old school bands, but they're kind of at a little resurgence. You see them, you know, selling a little more albums maybe and touring. And then there's a bunch of new bands that are playing the thrash. So just maybe your thoughts on the thrash today, thrash scene.
Healthy and strong.
Is there any bands in particular, or maybe the newer bands that you've heard or interest you? Or
there's always some good bands coming out, you know. We just did a tour in Europe with a band called Fueled by Fire from California. Nice guys and good band. And Warbringer is also a good band. Violator from Brazil. Then Municipal Waste, of course, but those bands are already almost older bands, you know, from that new. I
still think of them as the new bands, but some of them have been around 8, 9, 10 years.
I just found out that Warbringer is already 10 years old, you know. Time flies. And yeah, how can I put this? I think that most of those bands, they need. I'm still waiting for that one band that comes out with a hit album that comes out with a total fresh album that's revolutionary, and that's missing still with the newer bands. But on the other hand, the older bands like Testament just put out a great album. Overkill did put out 2 good albums in a row, and
you guys have been putting out some good albums.
But I don't want to mention my own band. but I'm talking. Death Angel, the new one, is also good, and so the older bands are picking up, you know. And we're waiting, of course, for the new Exodus album. That's probably gonna be killer, and you know, a lot of those older bands are still very, very much aware of what they're doing nowadays. Maybe even more as back in the day, because they
probably learned some lessons back in the day.
They have learned a lot of. I mean, all of us did. You know, we know most of the bands from back then. They handle their own business nowadays, and they do things a lot more DIY. You know, and no more management involved, and no more rip-offs, and the record companies' roles are different nowadays, you know. Even though they're still very supportive, especially Nuclear Blast, but a lot of the bands kind of know what they're known for nowadays, and they focus on thrash metal rather than experimenting too much, you know. And that's what I like about this new self-confidence in the thrash metal scene, especially when it comes to the older bands, that there's no fucking around anymore. We all had our experimental periods, and now we're back to what we do best.
Doing what you do best, as I was going to say. The last thing I wanted to ask you about was gear, kind of how you get that creator sound, and then in particular I wanted to ask you about Jackson guitars, because it seems like you've basically been using them from day one, I guess. And I think you had a Randy Rhoads was one of your first guitars, and so you could talk about, and I think you have a signature model as well.
Yeah,
so talk about Jackson and what it means to you.
Yeah, Jackson to me is it's a no-brainer. I mean, if you get a Jackson guitar and you're in a metal band, that's you can play this guitar all your life, you know. And I fell in love with Jackson when I was very young. I think 19 years old. The first time I went on tour over here with Voivod, I had my first green Randy Rhoads Jackson. I bought it. It got stolen from me in Amsterdam, but I still, from that day on, I only played Jackson guitars because it's just simple. It's they are the best. You can, you know, the fretboard, you can play the fastest on them, and you can, in every situation they just behave well. There's no drama with a Jackson guitar. It's always good quality, and I can't say enough good things about those guitars. And of course I'm very, very proud and privileged that I finally got my signature model, and that's also a great model, and I'm playing the exact same model on stage. You know, it's not that I have a special whatever model that I'm playing on stage and I'm selling something else. The people in Jackson are selling something else. It's the exact same model, and it's a great quality. You know, it's great quality, and it always behaved. It always stays in tune. That's the most important thing. You know, tuning. It sounds very simple, but it is definitely one of the most important things. That a guitar should stay in tune and should sound killer, and that's both the case with Jackson guitars.
And you can be a little rough with it on stage.
Oh,
and
you can punch it. You can do whatever. You know, it always stays in tune. And you can also do the whammy bar all over the place. That's what I do. You know, and yeah, it's my favorite. You can tell, right? I mean, I've almost like talked like 5 minutes of good things about Jackson. So that's enough.
So you're exclusively live in the studio. Do you ever experiment, or is it still just plug and play?
Sometimes in the studio, of course, we experiment with different brands also, because when we have like a part that demands like a certain sound, we just take another guitar brand. You know, or acoustic guitars. Jackson never had any acoustic guitars, so if we need that, we use different brands. But live, that's the only thing that I play. You know.
And amplification.
I have my own Engel now. I have my own Engel amp. It's called Extreme Aggressions. I have It just came out in Europe, and that amp is also available over here. Just designed for me. Very, very aggressive sound. I mean, the name says it all. I guess you'll hear it when you plug in your guitar. It's just a very, very. It's a metal amp. It's very no tricks. Just the only thing that I put in there is a noise gate that's really sharp, because I play with so much gain that I need. If I need a good working noise gate, and that's what I put in. And then I tweaked the EQ a little bit, and so it's my own kind of signature sound that you get with the extreme regression amp.
One other thing I wanted to ask is, you guys did, I guess it was back at the beginning of the year, that 70,000 tons of metal cruise, and just quick, how was that? How was that experience?
It was interesting. It was definitely relaxing, and I thought it would be wilder than it really was, in a positive way, in a good way. I thought I'd walk over, puke, and drunk people, but there was nothing like that. People were very civilized. It was nice. It was so much fun. Almost like a family trip, with people from all over the world. It was great. It was great. I mean, I can only recommend. It's one of the smoothest thing that ever happened to metal. It's really nice. It's really nice.
Great. Well, that's all I have. If you have anything else you want to share with the people listening out there?
Thanks for your support. Capital Chaos.
Beautiful.